Hello viewers, welcome to Talk with Mo. This is season 3, as you all know, and season 3 is all about trailblazers. And with me today, I have someone who's blazing the trail, not just here in Canada, but far in the Caribbean and into Africa. Join me as I welcome Uche George Okugo.
Thank you, Mo.
Hello, Uche.
Hello, Mo.
I finally got a hold of you. That in itself is a surprise, but I'm glad you're here. And when we hear the term trailblazers, these days it's often feels like a buzzword. Everybody is a trailblazer in their own right. But the whole essence of season 3 is to showcase those who are genuinely blazing the trail for us, not only in their industry, but far beyond their country and far beyond into different parts of the world, but affecting lives and doing so as an everyday person. As you know, Talk with Mo is all about everyday people with life-changing stories. And I know you have a life-changing story. So why don't you tell us what makes you a trailblazer, Uche?
Thank you so much, Mo. When you throw the question out like that, it, it leaves one a little bit, thinking deeply. So I think, first of all, one's genuineness of heart really has a huge place to play in how one affects a society or affects people. Nobody sets out to say, I want to go and blaze the trail. There really isn't a definition, okay? Because you affect lives in different ways. And you don't wake up in the morning to say, okay, today I'm going to blaze the trail. You just wake up and the best you can do is to say, today I will be deliberate about my actions. And I will ensure that my actions affect at least one person's life. That's as far as you can go. The rest will just be you practicing consistency, making sure that whatever you are doing is you just being yourself, wanting to affect people's lives positively.
And that's the thing. You wanting to be yourself, that's a lot of authenticity, which I find lacking in today's world. And when I talk about authenticity, it goes beyond the surface. It goes into your private life, into your public life. I mean, you can't be one person publicly and another person privately. So I know being a trailblazer didn't come easy. And many people listening or watching this will be like, oh, he must have been in Canada for donkey years. So why don't you walk us into your background? Where were you born? When did you come to Canada?
So, to start with, before I go into the background, I just want to say that for you to eventually get to blaze the trail comes with a lot of sacrifices. And it is the people you have in your life that will make that sacrifice worth it. I'll get to that later. I just want to put that out.
Well, hold that thought and I'll remind you.
Exactly. So, I was born in Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. And of course, I had my primary school, I had my secondary school in Warri. I'm the typical Warri boy, right? Because that's my background. Exactly.
Waffy boy.
And then I went into the university, Nsukka, UNN, in the East. That was my first venture off out of Warri. And I noticed that, even in school there, people wouldn't really tell me as a Warri boy. Except for some reason, I don't really look it. I don't talk it, I don't act it. I said, well, that's my background. It is what it is, you understand? I give kudos to my parents. They must have done a good job there. And then right after school, I came out, went for youth service in Ekiti State. Now, surprisingly, after spending 1 year in Ekiti State, I left youth service without still learning how to speak
Yoruba,
the language. And every day I beat myself for that. But youth service was fun. Nice neighborhood, nice friends I made. It was worth the experience, right? So, right after that, I finished youth service in 2004. And then I went to Warri. That's where I started my professional career. I had studied civil engineering in school. So I started off with a construction company. And right after that, I moved on to getting a job in the telecoms industry. So then the industry was still, booming with site construction. So they needed civil engineers, right? To do all their design analysis, project management, and site build construction.
So you were the ones that made money from NTN.
So this was even then, what was it, the V-Mobile?
V-Mobile.
Yes, so they were really neck deep into all that construction. So I got into the industry, started off in Asaba, worked my way around a couple of locations in Delta State and Anambra State, eventually ended up in Rivers State, so all that culminated in me eventually moving to the West. So I was now in Ota, Ogun State. Again, here I am in the West. I did spend quite a number of years there. This was like from 2011 to 2018 actually.
2018?
Yes. So because I did leave, Nigeria from the West. I never went back to the East.
Jeez.
So of course somewhere along the line I met my wife in Asaba. Other stories, a beautiful story for another day. But by the time it was getting to 2016, I realized that ambition was driving me to do more. Because back in Nigeria, I was a member of Rotary International.
Rotary.
And so we're involved in a lot of community projects that exposed me to a lot of stuff about what needs to be done to affect other people's lives. It made me understand that I am definitely a whole lot better than so many people out there. And it's not just for me to be happy about it and remain selfish and maybe rub it, in, but it's for me to realize that no matter how you think you have challenges, just because there's somebody, even if it's one person out there that you are better than, do well to make the person happy. It doesn't mean you must spend all your money on the person, give all your time. Just ensure that whatever comes from you towards certain people that you may be better than, put a smile on their face. Doesn't add pressure or stress on them.
Be impactful.
Exactly, you understand? Be nice about it. Make sure you are affecting people positively in whatever way you can. Whether it costs you money or not. Just make sure you are being genuine about it. And so I said, okay, Rotary gives a good platform. And so I was involved in community projects.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, I was involved in mentorship. So Rotary has cadre. There's one for those in secondary school, there's one for those in universities. I was mentoring them. At the time, Rotary was now big on polio eradication.
Okay.
I just love the whole idea of contributing to help the world get polio eradicated, because then Nigeria was endemic as well.
Right.
So I led some team even to Côte d'Ivoire. Yeah. Abidjan, and they went to Abidjan and Grand Bassam in Côte d'Ivoire. So we did polio immunization. There was a team from the US. It just made me appreciate the fact that, wow, there is really a whole lot you can do.
And that must have opened you up to a whole new world of possibilities. What was possible by impacting other people.
That is true. It gave me, because of, Rotary is international. So each time we have certain projects or events, you see Rotarians come from around the country, around West Africa, and around the world. Wow. So for example, when I went to Côte d'Ivoire, Rotarians from Canada and the US were there as well. Yeah. I began to see life differently. The need to be impactful, the need to truly reach out and be conscious of your environment. Make sure that you are doing your best to fit in a way that will be helpful to others. Right. It was now top on my list.
Right.
Fast forward to 2016. Like I said, I needed to, I'll use the word get better. Ambition was driving me, my professional background. I want to do more, I want to practice more, I want to have the better opportunities. So then came this opportunity to, in Canada. A friend had just told me casually that, Canada, they don't mind professionals, they have multiple streams for professionals and all that stuff. So I just went online, did some research, and I saw that then they had the paper version of Express Entry Skilled Worker Program. But we're going to start the online version from 2015. So I just subscribed for it. I said, okay, when they start, I would like to just get the information. When they started, I got an email saying, okay, the stream was started on January 1. And then I just read all the criteria, right? I said, qualified for this.
Qualified for this.
So I sat my wife down and I said, what? This is what's coming to my mind. She said, calm down. She didn't mind the idea, but she said, let's pray about it.
Let's pray about it.
I said, okay. So before I prayed about it, I said, because I'm a religious person, So, I won't say spoiler alert, but I'm actually an evangelist in the Anglican church. So then I first said, oh, Father, forgive me. I really should have come to you first, but now I'm coming to you. I'm genuinely coming to you. What do we do going forward? And it took us some time praying and fasting and really consulting God. And we heard God clearly tell us, I will make Canada for you a new beginning.
Interesting.
And so my wife and I started the process. And I can tell you confidently that everything from then on about our migrating to Canada was just seamless.
Smooth sailing. Like
it was smooth sailing. Everything was just happening at the right time, the right way. And eventually, after multiple of course, back home, work, a lot of the changing in the industry, there was really need to move on. Fast forward to 2018, after all the paperwork, all the processes, we were now ready to come to Canada. And so we arrived Canada on the 25th of March, 2018. Even the story around the whole Canada trip itself was mostly testimony, because I think we arrived here just about the right time. So when I landed in Canada, I was 40. If I had wasted time, the way the stream now works, it would have been quite difficult. I wouldn't say impossible, but it would have been quite some challenges, you understand? Maybe eventually that the line would have surmounted it, but it was okay that we landed when we landed. And then, the journey from then on was something that we had to, again, also rely on God and consciously focus on to say the truth. So that's like the background story of how it was in Nigeria, what I was doing, how I was doing it, and how I transitioned into Canada. I wasn't born here, I did school here.
And I'm glad you shared that with us, because looking at you today, you are a typical, it wasn't all easy, it wasn't all roses, but you did get here. And now you get here today, we're calling you a trailblazer. Walk us through what it looked like after you got here, because I'm sure there were other personal challenges that you had to surmount before getting here.
Definitely. So quickly, even while in Nigeria, there were multiple challenges. I lost my job a couple of times, right? It wasn't easy. There were times I didn't have anything. You understand? Those challenges did come up. And then after I got married in 2011, October 1, we just picked that date because then it was a Saturday, it was a national holiday, it was just perfect. Typical Nigerian family after marriage is to begin to look forward to expanding your family. That didn't happen for us. 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9
years.
And a half. Oh. So by 2011, we had come into Canada, right? So that's, I would say, one of the challenges that was carried forward, as it were. But all through these challenges, something remarkable happened that pretty much kept us on track. Now I'm talking about me and my wife.
Right.
One day, my brother-in-law, he's a pastor, he just called me up and he told me, listen, he knows it's not easy, he knows we're passing through challenges, but that God just told him that my story is like the story of Job. And I said, I don't understand.
How so?
He said, God told him that the same way he used Job to brag to the devil, he's using me to also brag to the devil. That despite this challenge, being a typical African man, I'm not going to deviate from this path. I'm still going to believe in him, hold on until it happens. I said, okay. That really led me to read the entire story of Job, all 42 chapters. And I said, yes, this is a story really worth believing in. I mean, and so I held on, right? It just gave me this mindset of whatever God cannot do, let it remain undone. I strongly believe that children, they will come. Don't worry about my calendar anymore, just don't worry, they will come. Again, Abraham, for crying out loud. I'm just sorry, I'm being spiritual here now, but I needed these stories to make me know that yours is not going to be different. If it happened for them, it can happen for you. Now, behind the scene, again, being a typical African person.
The pressures.
Yes, there was pressure, there was expectation, and there was a storyline. The typical storyline was, get your wife to go for this test, go for that test, or do this or do that,
So it was finger pointing to the woman, which is typical.
They were wondering, back home, I'm like, what's going on? Some people even mentioned crazy things. It got to a point I had to consciously protect my wife from my family, from my friends. I made sure that anybody that wanted to talk about the whole issue was talking to me, not my wife. I'm like, whatever you want to tell her, tell me. Whatever you think of her, tell me. Like, deal with me and not her. I felt bad, and this was something I had to tell people later when my child came. My wife and I just weathered the storm together, we believed together. Wonderful woman, I must confess. You understand? Now, the issue between me and my wife was not her, actually. It was me. I was diagnosed with azoospermia. In fact, at the time, it was first endospermia and then azoospermia, like zero sperm
What
count.
is that in layman's terms?
Zero sperm count. So it means that you are not producing enough sperm, just semen, not enough sperm to, get your wife pregnant. of course, I refused to accept this because, you know, you go for different tests and you see today, so there's some, there's none, there's some, maybe not enough. But she was fine. Everything about her was fine, right? But she held on with me. She believed with me. She sat down with me, we planned it out, we mapped out every process. Even after we landed in Canada and while my life was going on one path, we still had this challenge to deal with. And my wife was just patient all through. She didn't tell anybody. She didn't even talk about it. She just kept also praying and believing that whatever process that you're putting in place will work. Fast forward to 2021 when our son came. And it was a glorious moment. During the naming ceremony, because I think it was still this COVID thing, people couldn't come to my house, so we had a virtual naming ceremony. That was when I told the story. And I let people know that, like I said earlier, trailblazing comes with challenges. And it is the people you have in your life that will first make that challenge count, and secondly, make you look good.
It's so interesting you say this. I'm going to come back to this, but I want you to hold on to that. Will this perhaps be the sacrifice you alluded to earlier on that you're going to talk about later? Is that the sacrifice you're referring to? You want to go deeper with that?
Everything about trailblazing, everything about being community-centric, being out there for people, wanting to help people, wanting to make sacrifices, being an outgoing person, comes with a sacrifice that oftentimes tells on your family. There are times I come home and I'm in meetings as well at home. I don't even see my wife. I don't see my son. I'm in meetings, planning things, and then the next thing you're so tired, off to bed. The next day in the morning again, the cycle starts. There are times we have family plans, but something comes up and we have to make those changes. If I didn't have a wife that was understanding, that was supporting, I would have had to give it all up. I mean, there were times she would even tell me, oh no, let's do this one first. We just go on. Don't worry, there's always time. That is why whenever I have time for a vacation, I vacation very well.
You vacation very well.
Oh, so, for example, after we got married, you understand, we vacationed in the UK. And I made sure that it was, so we went to Turkey first and then went to UK. Whenever I have time to have time for family, I make
vacation
sure.
well.
Exactly.
So that you work hard and you play hard.
Oh, definitely. You understand? And it hasn't changed. So those sacrifices were pretty heavy on my family. You understand? I mean, there were times behind the scene, there would be those challenges of maybe it's getting too much. Okay, do we need to make changes? Like, you don't have time for your son, you don't have time for me. Those things were there. There were times I was said, okay, you know what? I'll just do this today. It's your time. It's your day. You understand? And it's both ways, right? Once you give family time, as it were, the time for other community-based responsibilities will suffer as well, right?
Sure.
But I had to find a balance. It's important to always find a balance. And a balance is not something you just do professionally or you do because you're experienced. A balance is simply sitting your family down to talk about it. I sat my wife down several times and we talked about it because there has to be an agreement between you and your wife. I need to do this, but I need you to understand what this is and why it's important to me. And I hope it will be important to you because it's important to me. She also will come and say, hey, listen, I also need to do this. I hope you understand that even though it's clashing, we need to decide how to go about it. It wasn't easy. But like I said, I thank God for my wife. We always found a way to find that balance.
Right. And now, this story of you coming out publicly to accept the fault in the infertility struggle in your marriage, that is very foreign to men first, and especially to a Nigerian man. I'm not going to talk about Africa because I don't know a lot about most African countries, but I know a lot about Nigeria. That is entirely foreign to Nigeria because there's a male ego, but also how do you face people after that? What made you to come out to say, hey, I have been diagnosed with a low sperm count? How easy was that and why did you decide to do that?
So I think it goes back to my background and I give kudos to my parents. They brought me up with a lot of nuggets, a lot of wise sayings, and they weren't just parents that were saying those things, they were living those things for us to see. So my dad would always tell me things like, a good name is better than all the money in the world. And I saw my father live that. In fact, fast forward to when we all grew up and left the house, there were times where people would accept me, accept my siblings, because of my father. And what you hear them say is, oh, he's a man of integrity. Or no, your father's word is good enough. Or your father said this and that, so I need to know.
A man of integrity.
So, exactly. So growing up, I knew the importance of, you don't need to, it's ego. How is, if you, the day you can put ego in the bank and to give you interest, then ego is worth it. If ego cannot give you interest, what is ego? This is a woman that has sacrificed a lot. I'm talking about 9.5 years. The least I can do is to be myself and appreciate her. And it's not enough to just be telling her behind closed doors.
Right.
You need to know. Now, it is me appreciating, respecting, and truly loving her. At the same time, it's a message out there.
Absolutely.
What is. You can turn it around. It's not as if there is a way around it. It's what happened. It was important for me to show that I have learned all through life to be a person of integrity. And that comes with living your life behind closed doors one way and living your life in the public exactly the same way. And again, of course, my religious background. I know that there's somebody that sees me in secret.
And that's the interesting part, because we're Nigerians, and relating this integrity issue to Nigeria and how business is conducted in the public eye versus how they live life in the private eye for most people, it's very different. So how has being a person of integrity privately, because your private affair, you have shown to be a person of integrity even when it's so hard and difficult. How has that translated to your public life as a public servant for the province of Ontario in Brampton, Canada?
So, while you're a person of integrity, comes with a high sense of being content with what you have.
Being content.
With what you are. You can't really be a person of integrity if you have your eyes all over the place. If you feel like, oh, I should be having this, I should be doing that, I should be here, I should be there. No. You need to be content with what you have and plan to get better the right way. Oftentimes, there are people that will want certain things from me. Maybe they ask me and they're not getting it. They ask my wife. What you hear from her is, don't bother, it's not going to do it. That's expressive. Don't bother. It looks like it's a shortcut. It's not going to do it. And that's me. People expect that because I work with the city, my experience, I'm in this role, there's certain things I can do and do it fast. I can get people jobs in the city, I can get people contracts. I can get them in front of the mayor. I'm like, okay, fine, you want to meet with the mayor? Okay, go to the website. He has a part on the website. Click on the link. You see all the schedule there. Book an appointment. You see it. Do you want to meet with him? Do you want to invite him to an event? It's all there. But you know the mayor. And I said, yes, I know him. I work in the city. Everybody else that works in the city know him as well. Even though we may have a relationship that goes beyond just working in the city, I need to respect that relationship.
And that's comes with the integrity you're talking about.
And so people expect us to just be the person that will, and it's so common in our community. Just because you are in the forefront, as it were, the primary expectation is for you to cut corners. Make it quick, make it fast, make it different. No. So if I do it for you, that means I have to do it for everybody else. Now imagine cutting corner for everybody you know. Well, there won't be any corner left to cut then. And so I maintain my stand for everything to be done appropriately. And growing up also, my father told me something. He would often tell me, what is worth doing is worth doing well.
Wow.
Measure 9 times and cut once. Just make sure that whatever you are doing, do it well. Doing it well means just make sure that by tomorrow or by another day or by some time in the future, somebody will refer to that thing and say, well, you didn't do this right. Or, well, after all, you did this. It's not a good thing. Because you don't know where your name will end up. You don't know where whatever you're doing now will take you to tomorrow and what might affect you based on what you didn't do right. So I try to wake up every morning with that conscious attitude of, I have to do it right today. I have to be patient. I have to be content. I have to make sure that in front of me lies that simple notion of do not cut corners.
Yes.
Don't be in a hurry. And it's guided me all through my life in Canada. And it's come to a stage where people that know me are now comfortable that, okay, what he can do for you, normally he will do. What you expect him to do that requires some corner cutting,
It will
it's
not
right. I
happen.
will not do it. And people are beginning to get comfortable with that. And so far, so good. It's been working out for me.
Oh, wonderful. Now, talking about doing things well, you recently got a new role, which is an applaudable role. Congratulations.
Thank
Do you want to talk to us about that role and what it
Yes.
entails?
Okay, so I joined the city in 2018. You understand? That's also part of my
The same year you
my
came
story.
to Canada.
Yes, that's when I started with the city. But I got a job that is related to engineering because of my background. When I came to the city, to Canada generally, I came with this notion, and I learned this back from Canada, from Nigeria in a session I attended, that I should come to Canada with an open mind. And so when I got here, I said, okay, in Canada, what can I do? What else can I do? What else do I need to get myself wrapped around? And so as I began to do all my community efforts, Rotary involvement, and working with the city, meeting people and getting involved in different events, I liked the whole idea of opening the city up to my community in terms of business opportunities. And I began to see this pretty quickly on, right? I said, I like doing this. And so I started developing myself along the lines of community economic development. I took courses. I made sure that even in Rotary, I was focused on that as well. I looked out for Rotarians that were in that field and made sure that they were mentoring me as well. And even while in the city, I put my ears to the ground to find out, okay, what are the things I need to know, I need to do so I can transition. One of the help I got was my background. So I also have a master's in business administration from Nigeria. And so that was like a springboard for me, right? I just used that to develop myself further. So when the opportunity came, I transitioned. And so right now I'm the investment attraction coordinator for the African and Caribbean markets, City of Brampton. So what I do is I look for foreign direct investments from qualified individuals, qualified businesses from the African continent, that's got 54 nations, and the Caribbean, that's got 15 nations as well, island nations. I bring them in and I market Brampton to them in terms of our sectors, what we have geographically, what we have demographically, and all the opportunities that are in Brampton. And it's been good. So information is powerful.
Absolutely.
When people see these opportunities as businesses, they tend to want to take advantage. So startups, for example, are jumping at it. Entrepreneurs in Nigeria are jumping at it. I recently hosted a trade mission from Nigeria under the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Right.
There were about 30 companies. And after a 3-day event, some of them even stayed back so they can start the process, get company registered, open business accounts, and begin to see how they can transfer funds from Nigeria into Canada or establish an entity here in terms of an office space and employ people. You understand? So that's what I do primarily. I accept inbound team. I lead outbound teams as well to countries of interest. So because it's a large space, we have to have countries of interest. So in the phase one, you have some countries like Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt. And then in the Caribbean, you have Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So these are locations that we're taking piece by piece. But I've actually had traction with most other nations. Either by way of visits, by way of introduction, by way of info session. And also for me, it's an opportunity to support Black-owned businesses to come into, the way I see it is come into North America. Because if you land in Brampton, you take advantage of the business in Canada. And then
it opens doors.
Exactly, you can scale up. Canada has a beautiful trade agreement with the US, with Mexico, and a couple of nations. Just take advantage. So I'm happy that people are beginning to look into that. And there's support also from the government, whether it be the municipal, the provincial, the federal level. So my job is just to help people see this eye-opening opportunity,
Possibilities.
and then support them all through the process of how they can take advantage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, where do you see yourself? Just have you ever thought of the impact your faith life has on you?
So
I know you've talked a lot about being an evangelist, praying and fasting, but when you take a sit back, what role is your faith playing, even today, as you take on this huge role, as it were?
now, it is very easy to put faith aside in Canada and think that you don't need God here. The system is almost perfect. Government has policies and procedures in place to take care of people. Just work hard, you'll be fine, make money, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. People just paint this picture of you don't need God or faith in Canada, just work hard, you'll be fine. No.
The system works.
You will not. I mean, when you see a lot happening around you, you have to appreciate that there's a God somewhere. You understand? So for me, everything about my life today, remember I told you, I said, my Canada trip, everything's been pretty seamless. A friend once told me that I make hard work look easy. Like I make the life in Canada look effortless. How am I doing it? And I said, it's God. It's not me.
Right.
How I got this job is God. I mean, how I'm even in everything about me basically is because I believe in God. I look up to Him. I take my questions, my concerns, my expectations, everything to Him. And He has a way of just making the pieces fall into place. The events I choose to attend, the events I choose not to attend, the things I choose to do or not to do, everything just falls into place. So for example, when I attend events, I meet people that are strategic. It's not because I'm a very strategically inclined person. It's because somebody else
is making the arrangement.
You understand? It's just perfectly falling into place. So everything about me, I've always had a team that really made it easy. And I realized that it is God at work. Even people that have no business supporting me, that have no business working with me, they show up. One of those for you. And they end up doing beyond, how do they say it, over and beyond. You understand? And so, without faith, a lot of this wouldn't work. Without faith, I'll struggle. Without faith, I'm pretty sure I would have been in the space where I would say, I'm actually in Canada. I've made a terrible mistake. Maybe I should go back to Nigeria. But faith has kept me going. Faith has opened doors for me every day. Faith has made that light I carry shine brighter and brighter every day. Faith is giving me all the ideas, all the innovation, all the people. Everything just working perfectly. Because there is somebody that is making sure that behind the scene, everything falls into place. So when you wake up in the morning, you're just walking into an already prepared day. So one thing I do every morning is when I wake up, part of my prayer is, I just say, I speak into this day. Day, be successful. Day, make sure my light does not go dim. Like, I take charge. And it happened when we landed. My wife took off her shoes. She stood on the bare grounds and said, we have come to possess this land. So, people might say this thing and say, my
superstition.
In Canada, if you don't work it. Even the job. When we wanted to work, got jobs. When we wanted to grow, it happened. Like, I know it's not exactly the same thing for every faith-believing person, but there's also those moments of challenge.
You've told us about some of them.
So,
yes.
So I mean, in summary, without faith, Canada really wouldn't be Canada the way people think it is.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Any parting words you want to leave us with before you go, before I let you go? One final parting word. So,
my key mantra in life is things turn out best for those who make the best out of the way things turn out. I know that there's a lot happening there. I belong to groups. I see questions people ask. I see challenges. When I was still newer in Canada, one lady in one of the groups I belong to just put it out there. You could tell that she was crying and she was sending the message because she said she's depressed. New friends, new family, new life, too much changes. You wake up in the morning, you see different people, you can't relate with them. So she was in a space of depression and she was thinking about going back to Nigeria, and some of us called and encouraged and messages and stuff. Some people are still experiencing all that to date. I'm sure there was one video that went viral about the girl crying and all that stuff. I tell people, no matter how you came to Canada, Don't see it as a mistake.
Mm.
Trust me, coming to Canada is not easy. So once you are here, just know that it was meant to be. What you owe yourself is dust yourself up. Look straight into the future. See beyond your immediate. Paint a picture of what you want it to be. And begin to work towards it. You know, hard work. Hard work is consistency. Hard work is discipline. You must wake up every morning and walk the talk. You understand? Just do that. One thing I know from experience is consistency has never failed. Especially when in that consistency, you're taking notes, lessons learned. Okay, I made this mistake. How do I not make it next time? Okay, I did this, I failed. How do I not fail next time? You're being consistent, you're failing forward, so to speak.
Right.
Trust me, it will pay off. It worked for me, it can work for anybody.
I really have nothing more to say or to add. I just want to say thank you for those words of wisdom. You have heard it all from Uche. Without faith, Canada would be impossible to live in or to live by. So I'm going to leave you with some of his quotes. Be consistent, be hardworking, and trust that with God on your side, all of those will pay off. I'm paraphrasing Uche now. But until next time, stay consistent, be a person of integrity, indoors and outdoors, and I'll catch you later. God bless you.